It's the greatest day of the year other than week one of the NFL season. It's the NFL schedule release show that Nordo and I are doing. We're here with Alec Lewis, and let me just say thanks to our good friends at 7th Avenue Pizza for having us.
Yeah, at first, 7th Avenue Pizza already, it's wafting through the halls.
It's the best.
Can't wait to feast. Can't wait for 7 p.m. in which we get to feast on the 2024 Vikings schedule. Preseason, where's the road bits going to be? How's it going to fall? You and I, especially considering the fair schedule.
I hope we aren't interrupted and we can do a Saturdays with Sauce out at the fair and we aren't interrupted like we've rudely been interrupted for about 3 years with a preseason game.
Crossing my fingers.
Right.
And Alec, you heard Sauce and I out in the hall prior to this. When are we going to get Kirk Cousins at U.S. Bank Stadium? And that's what we're waiting until 7 o'clock to find out and finally reveal.
Yeah, and the whole NFL is definitely waiting for this one game to be announced. It's not just Vikings fans.
That's why they're waiting until 7.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't sleep last night, to be honest. It was.
We can tell you look a little rough.
I know it was miserable. It'll be interesting. I thought originally, like days ago, just thinking about it, it's like you had Kirk on Netflix. You're gonna have Justin on Netflix. Netflix is doing the Christmas games. It really made sense. We'll see what ends up happening, obviously, but that game is gonna be fascinating among the many.
Is it a 50-50 shot? Michael Penix is the starter.
A coin
whatever
flip?
that game is. Like even if it's the week one opener, is it a 50-50 shot?
So
Penix is the starter.
So it's more than 0.
Yeah, as Corey said, it can't be 0 and it can't be 100.
So whatever the percentage chance is, and I don't want to wish this on Kirk, what is the percentage chance that someone suffers a season-ending injury for a second year in a row?
Yeah, probably.
No matter when
Alec,
this
you
game.
got to move into the camera. We're live on the camera.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, it's
right.
this one right here.
Yeah,
and wave to everybody. KFAN.com, the
7th
YouTube
Avenue
channel.
Pizza.
All of that. This is really the closest that you and I have ever spent
Right.
time together.
He
I understand.
couldn't be any farther from you.
It's uncomfortable for you.
Yeah.
Not for me.
We just wait till the pizza comes out.
It's good.
Nordo and I are each having our own.
Yeah. Guests go first, though, right?
I mean, good luck, Alec.
Yeah, he'll get the
piece.
first slice.
Yeah.
I can't wait. I've been beyond the schedule. I also couldn't sleep last night knowing this.
But when you're going in, go in with authority.
Yeah, right.
Because you
Yeah,
might
you're-
not leave with all
right.
5 fingers. I'll tell you
You
that.
ever seen 2 whales eat? I mean, that's what you're about to witness.
It's brutal.
Yeah,
the Penix Kirk
Eat or
thing,
be eaten.
the Penix Kirk thing, though, it is interesting. Obviously, 2 season-ending injuries in a row and 2 seasons in a row, that feels way out there. But
Yeah.
if he has any less mobility than he has had, and he gets crushed the way he has year after year, I mean, you got to think about that being a possibility if it's later in the year. We'll see. But that is probably, is that for you guys? Is that the most interesting game to be announced?
I mean, it has to be, right? And if you think about it, like,
It's not, but you finish your thought.
No,
it's not for me.
I think it is for me because we know all the teams that, not the schedule, but we know every team we're going to play. So we've known that for not years, but we've known it for months, right? I think it has to be because the way it ended, the way that it now has started with him, where all of us know, and you can say what you want about Kirk Cousins. He's an A+ human. He won 1 playoff game, right? That is a stat that will follow him for as long as he plays in the NFL. But we watched when he was here, they didn't bring in a decent backup. Sean Mannion was the backup because they didn't want to. Kirk is such a blinders guy, right? It's straight ahead. Everything is calculated straight ahead. Him leaving here because he knew we were going to take a young quarterback, because I think you might have reported that, Alec, or somebody at The Athletic did that. Like,
Let's just say it was Alex since he's here.
Yeah, he knew the plan. He left because he knew they had the 10th overall pick or 11th overall pick. He knew they were going to take a quarterback one way or another, right? And then he leaves, and the team that signs him to a huge contract takes a quarterback, not only takes a quarterback, but they take him in the top 8 picks. So, like, the storyline of that is huge, right? Like, that's, in my opinion, that's the biggest game. I know we get 2 Packer games. Those are always great. The London game will be fun. But the biggest game that I'm looking forward to knowing when it is the Falcons game.
in Nordo?
Well, for me, the only reason I'm moving on from Kirk. I mean, as soon as we drafted
Sure.
J.J. McCarthy, I'm moving on. And I like Kirk, feel for Kirk that's a crappy situation right there. It is. And I think it was the fact that we were going to draft a guy high. We made our intentions clear, combined with the fact that we weren't coming close. It wasn't, I really love it here, so I guess I'll take 30 fewer million guaranteed dollars. I don't think we were in the same, we literally aren't in the same state. Whatever the distance is between Georgia and Minnesota, I think that's about the same difference in distance in terms of guaranteed dollars. So money played into it. The quarterback part of it played into it. They sent him down the line with maybe we'll do something in the next couple of years. They do with the first pick. That's terrible. I'm on to J.J. McCarthy. Thank you. Appreciate the time, Kirk. Best of luck. House is sold. Enjoy Atlanta. But now I want to see Caleb Williams. I want to see Jordan Love backing up. Are you really going to be worth $250 million here, Jordan, after what you did last year? And Packers fans hoping so, and certainly had some great moments last year, specifically as the run game got better. But like some of those games, Danielle Hunter. If we're going to be nostalgic about
game, good
Stephon
point.
too.
Yeah.
Stephon Diggs. Think about that. So in that game, we're going to see number 9. We're going to see 2 2015 draft picks, 2 guys that rose to elite status, one that left disgruntled, one that I'm not sure if I need both hands to count how many times he spoke to the media in Danielle. But I get to see C.J. Stroud year 2 back up that Rookie of the Year campaign and a playoff team in the Texans, in which we have now, how many different transactions have we made with him? This is Texans North right now.
Yeah, Nick Caserio.
Absolutely.
His wife or his kids, whatever. Quasito Fomensa. That's how it goes.
So it's Blake Cashman, it's Jonathan Grenard. Shaq Griffin, I think, played with the Texans before the Panthers or Panthers before the Texans. This Grugier Hillcat was with the Texans in the last couple of years.
There was a point at which I thought Fairburn, the kicker, might be interested.
Well, we were in the market for one until we took your fellow, your Crimson Tide kicker, Mr. Reichard. So I'm not trying to belittle it. Whenever it happens, certainly it's going to matter, right? But I do look at those things. Like the number 1 overall pick is in our division. I think early we'll also get to see, is this NFC North, are we building it up too much that it's potentially one of the toughest divisions in the NFL? Or due to rookie struggles, will that tell a little bit different story? So the Kirk thing, get it, totally understand. Fans, are we going to boo him or not? You guys will figure that out, I'm sure. When the smoke emerges from the dragon, no fire, no thanks to the Titans. But I think that, some of those other bits, when are the Bears coming here? When are we going to when are we going to finally figure out how to beat Jared Goff now that he's making all that fat cash and beat the kiddies?
Good point.
I'm all in on these division games right now. As boring as that is, we play each of them twice a year, but they're not boring given all the situations around them.
No, a sneaky one for me is the Cardinals. No, I'm just kidding. I don't care about that game at all. The 49ers, that to me, given what happened last year and the fact that game will be here. I remember Christian McCaffrey fumbled early in that game. Brock Purdy had the concussion afterward. He played pretty well for most of that game, then threw 2 picks.
Didn't Addison have an early one too, where he catches it from Kirk and then immediately got hit?
I believe there was one.
And it turned into a pick or something like that?
There was one pick, but then there was the other play where he took it from, I think it was Charvarius Ward.
I think you're right.
Oh, he ripped it for the long TD.
Yes, correct.
Hell yeah.
So those two matching up against each other, the Purdy, the Sam Darnold playing the team that kind of got him. Maybe Sam Darnold, we'll see.
That's why we picked up Sam Darnold.
Right.
Right.
Just game plan for that game.
Kyle Shanahan will have no response at all.
Alec, what do you think? I don't know if you're a gambling guy. I don't know if you can be, but what do you think the line is that J.J. McCarthy is the starting quarterback for the London game, right? Week 5? It's 5 weeks in, man. There's a good shot that Sam Darnold, we love him and everybody wants him to be, the next Baker Mayfield. We heard it in the Super Bowl when Tom Pelissero, who's kind of connected, said, they want a guy because they might want the next Baker Mayfield, right?
Yeah.
What if he isn't? Is London the right spot to start a rookie? You know what I mean? Like that's a whole different wrench in starting your first NFL game. I know it's a road game, quote unquote, for those of you watching, but like it's a tough spot to start a rookie.
Plus that Jets defense.
Correct.
I mean, you got Hassan Reddick,
Correct.
Quinnen Williams.
Yeah, well said. Yeah.
Sauce Gardner, DJ Reed. Like if you're throwing a guy into the fire, I'd prefer to do it against a team that might be easier, more easily accessible. But I mean, it's a great question. And
Thank you.
And yeah, no problem. The Sam Darnold conversation, I mean, I think I wrote about this like months ago. It's like part of the reason you sign a guy and pay him is to be able to hold things down until you fully believe JJ is ready. But the problem is, if Sam Darnold's throwing picks the way he has in years past,
right.
If he's struggling, if the team's struggling, if the teammates know that JJ McCarthy has the juice and might be ready to rock, then you're going to get a lot of pressure to put him in. So I think week 5, it might be a little early for my taste, but not by a ton, I don't think.
Well, and you talked about it when you were on 9 to noon today. And one thing that I'm curious, once 7 rolls around and we can open this box that was sent directly from Park Avenue in New York. It's the official schedule release. We've seen nothing. Don't believe any of the leaks. When we finally get to see what the games, when they went to London 2 years ago, they chose not to do a bye week. And so they actually played, I think it was the Bears. We went through it. The Bears, and then they were at Miami, and then they had their bye. So I'm interested to see where that bye week is this year. I assume, simply by nature of how they try to mix things up, it was one of the latest bye weeks last year. It will not be the same this year. And let's say there's a bye week in that mix with the London game, then that would be a spot where I start considering, based on other scenarios too. Once we look at the schedule itself, we'll play the game based on what's on paper. Look at this 5-game stretch from November to early December. That's an absolute season killer right there if XYZ things don't go right. Or it's front-loaded hard, or it's back-loaded difficult, etc. I think some of that plays into it as well, because as much as we talk about J.J. McCarthy getting up to speed and knowing the game plan, I kind of think the same thing about Sam Darnold. How up to speed is he going to be? How watered down or how much hand-holding needs to go into this process, even though he's a veteran? And so is it teams 1 and, let's say they're 1-3 into the Jets game. Are they 1-3 because Darnold's been putrid, or are they 1-3 because they have just a gauntlet of competition?
Or they fumble 7 times.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing for a team that won 7 games last year. How about you just cut like your 40 turnovers in half, and suddenly maybe 7 wins becomes 11? Like that's the margin of error that this team was existing within a year ago, which kind of excites me about the season. But now this quarterback situation certainly provides a wrench in the spokes of its own. But like wherever that bye week is, if that makes sense, like I'd like to see that, because I think that would be a nice benchmark or line that you could draw if we were going to say, Darnold, it's kind of ugly, dude. We're going to probably let the kid roll after the break.
Yeah, if it were early on the bye week, it would be a perfect baton handoff.
That's a great point, yeah.
Type thing. And maybe not perfect, considering whatever the circumstances.
But anytime there's this situation, Alec, I don't mean to cut you off.
No, you're good. It's great.
That's exactly what it is, right? Every time you hear somebody who's got a young quarterback, it's always like, well, X quarterback has struggled. They got the bye week coming up. The kid can stay in town and all that. That's a football cliche we all love, but it's very true.
Yeah, no, I think in this situation, especially if the bye week is early on, then it totally makes sense. It's going to be interesting. When they went to London in 2022, and that was my first year here, but they obviously went over there week 4.
Did you go on that trip?
I did not, but Tyler Williams, I was like trying to unpack my apartment. I mean, I didn't know what I was doing. I was
so much going on.
All 7th Avenue Pizza, I wish I had in just so I could every day be cooked. I mean,
we're sending you home with several.
Matt will show up with a bunch. Matt and Patrick at 7th Avenue Pizza are A+.
But I remember that game, they went like 2 or 3 days before, and they came back pretty quick after, and they had a whole interesting strategy. I remember they brought out Tyler Williams, their director of sports medicine, and he talked to us about circadian rhythms and espresso shots, and I was like, is this real? Is this legit? What is going on? It was pretty unbelievable, but how they treat kind of that process in terms of going to London to play the Jets in Week 5 this year and the aftermath of that, and then the potential opponents after that game and how things shake out. To me, that is. I mean, you said it earlier. Like if you were to talk about line odds of the JJ, to me, you just have to probably fixate around that time.
You were at rookie minicamp. How did that go? What did you learn from JJ? What did you learn from Dallas Turner? I know it's guys in shorts not getting hit, but what did you see out of that?
So PA asked this earlier today, and similar question. I said not a ton. Like I didn't learn a ton, and then I went on this whole thing. People are crushing me on it, but I was like,
that's what people do. They have, that's why they're great.
No, it was meant kind of. Like he's in development mode. Kevin O'Connell said we want him to be aggressive. We want it to be trial and error. And that's what I would say. He was working with receivers he'd never worked with. Some of them didn't know where to line up at all times.
Correct.
So he was kind of facilitating everything. You saw the live arm. I mean, he can really hum it now. Like he can really throw. There's going to be no question about arm strength, anything. And generally, it's so fluid. His arm action is just, it's very easy to watch. It's very prototypical. The only thing I would say is, like, and anybody who watched him in Michigan, anybody who studied it, anybody who's talked to his private coaches, anything, layering the football and adding touch and being precise on a consistent basis, that's the work right now, and that's what the next 3 months are going to be about. So I don't think it's right for anybody to overreact to one practice or 3 practices or 3 weeks. I have no issue with the fact that this guy's going to be developing, but you can also tell he's got a charisma to him. He's got an aura. And he just. It felt right. Like that one practice, for as much as it was a developmental environment, it felt like the right thing, and that's how this whole process really has.
When I asked this earlier on the power trip, when a depth chart comes out, where do you think JJ McCarthy will be on it? Not 1, but will he be 2?
Well, Nordo and I we talked about this on 9 to Noon. We talked about Nick Mullins. His name came up.
Could he be 3?
I mean, it might
probably not
just for seniority, whatever. But I mean, he's the 2. I mean, he's the guy waiting in the wings. He's the like it'd be like you have a Twins rotation and you need another starter, but you got some placeholder. But like that guy's gonna be a starter. So whatever it says, whatever it looks like.
And Mullins is also not unaware of any of this, and so there's nothing, and frankly, I don't know what's ceremonial about playing that game. Like Mullins are the number 2. I mean, you can play the depth chart like into the preseason game. Sure, that's fine. That's cool.
I mean, think about what Nick. Speaking of Nick's awareness, and we don't need to talk about Nick Mullins. I didn't mean to go down this road.
Well, he's going to be the one if you keep 3, right? I mean, it's likely Jaron Hall.
That's a great point.
It's a great question. Nick is just so much more. I mean, studied, experienced, and while he may throw the football thinking that he is Warren Moon at times,
I think he thinks he's Brett Favre. I think that's exactly who he thinks he is.
Last year, like literally, they traded for Josh Dobbs. He was the guy in the building, and he had to manage that. And from everything I heard, like. I mean, Josh told me in the locker room, he's like, Nick fist bumped me. He's like, I'm here for you, anything. Yeah. So Nick will know how to handle this the right way. And whether they put out some depth chart from a PR standpoint and it has JJ3, like we all know the reality.
Correct. Yeah.
Sure.
The other thing that when you look at the schedule and you get excited for these games is, eventually they're going to whittle this down to maybe 1 preseason game. The problem that you get with that is exactly like, you go back to superstar Mike Morris, who worked for the station for a long time. Guys like that don't make the league if there's only 1 preseason game. Like we don't want them because the fans hate them. Some of the starters don't want them because they don't. It's a lot of nonsense to go back and forth and all that. They want the 18th or 19th or 20th game. Eventually, that's what we're going to get to. But like, can you see a world, Alec, where there is no preseason football?
To me, as much as I don't love being up there for those games. I mean, it's
Hawk and I love them. They're the best.
But I mean, like, I
Might
think
be the
about
best part of the
Ivan
year.
Pace and him ending up having to call the defense later in the year. Like, he called the defense against Seattle in that preseason game. And had he not had that experience, I don't know if it would have been easier or not. So, and then just the physicality, like Vikings camp the first year Kevin O'Connell was here. You guys know this. I mean, they didn't do much physically at all. And last year with Brian Flores, they ramped it up. I wouldn't be shocked if they ramp it up a little bit more this year. It just, I get from a health perspective and from a NFL schedule, you want to maximize dollars, all that. I mean, there's all these factors, but for as much as whatever you think about these games, like in some ways they are necessary.
Well, I'm curious if the transition then becomes, because the league still, there's room for undrafted players, there's room for tryouts. Like if they take away those testing or evaluation opportunities, then they got to get them elsewhere. So, and we have seen, I don't know if it's an uptick, so I'm just going to stupidly say I think there's been an uptick in joint practices among franchises. And so that's an aspect. And then what it is for teams now as they kind of dread those preseason games, what has happened? A lot of those games are actually super boring and milquetoast because the physical aspects of the game are taking place in those joint practices. And then almost nobody plays in the actual preseason game itself. So if you wanted, in Niners and Vikings, you wanted to see Kirk throw into JJ in double coverage, what that looked like, Greenlaw on the field, manning patrol, how Nick Bosa looks working around Darisaw. You didn't see that in the actual preseason game. By the way, that everyone paid really good money to go to.
Which is ridiculous.
But you did see that in the joint practice. So
public.
if you're going to take away those preseason games, ultimately I still believe that that teams have already adjusted in some ways by getting those reps in practices, which then does lend to help an Ivan Pace. Like you're talking about JJ in rookie camp. Well, how does Dallas Turner look with no pads, getting up and brushing slightly into another? You can't see anything. Same with Ivan Pace a year ago.
Good point.
Put the pads on in training camp, kid comes alive.
Yeah. No, I mean, the Dallas Turner, it's like if he's not physically having to set the edge, and then you throw him into an NFL game and he can't set the edge.
Right. Real good point.
It's definitely interesting. And your point about fans, and some of these fans, it's the only game they get to go to all year, or it's the only game. So it's tough in a lot of ways. And really, I mean, the joint practices, the way Kevin O'Connell talked about them prior to last year, I, in some ways, maybe expected it to be just so realistic. And I just got to say, like, being out there against the Titans, like, yes, there was some physicality with Jeffrey Simmons and Garrett Bradbury, but I didn't come away with it being like, oh, man, that really mimicked the game. Like, it really didn't feel
Who was the
that
guy?
way.
Did Tyre Tart throw Bradbury into, the next month?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That was tough.
So the schedule will release in 6 minutes from Mark. So here we are.
Yeah.
We will go through it in
finally
6
get to look
minutes.
at
When
it.
we come back, we will go through every game, every time, all of it. All the leaks maybe are wrong, maybe they're right. But we will have your answer in 6 minutes right here on The Fan. Thanks to our friends at 7th Avenue Pizza. We'll go through every single game. We'll get Alec and Nordo's thoughts on it, and I'll sprinkle in some thoughts as well. The official schedule release, 5 minutes away right here on The Fan. Thanks to our friends at 7th Avenue Pizza.
Pizza time.
This is The Fan. The Fan.
Find sweet savings at Whole Foods Market. Get 16 ounces of organic strawberries for $3.99 each with Prime through May 21st. Bake a strawberry shortcake to enjoy in the sunny weather. While supplies last, shop in-store or online. Terms apply.
Have you been ignoring your problem windows and doors? Stop putting off the project and call Renewal by Anderson. It's Paul Allen. Renewal by Anderson's design consultants can help you get the windows and doors you want while staying within your budget. And their certified master installers are respectful, clean, and experts at custom installations. Now, during their Memorial Day sales event, save 20% on all windows and doors and get $500 off your entire project when you buy 4 or more units. Affordable payment plans are available. May is also Military Appreciation Month at Renewal by Anderson. All past and present military members will receive an added special discount. Offer ends May 31st. Call 651-240-1010. 651-240-1010. That's 651-240-1010. Visit renewalbyanderson.com for additional details.
Pig's Eye Party Planners.
Help! I got a bunch of friends coming to town and they really like baseball.
St. Paul Saints.
But if you don't, they just want to have fun experiencing St. Paul.
St. Paul Saints.
And there's got to be food and beer and cocktails.
St. Paul Saints.
But some are bringing their kids. It's got to be fun for them too and affordable. Wait, St. Paul Saints.
Good idea.
Fun is good. It's what we do. Tonight, Metro State University brings you reality TV night. Is it real or fake? Is it T or V? First pitch at 6:37 on an Explore Minnesota Wednesday. Tickets at saintsbaseball.com.
Hey, it's Chris Hockey for Aquarius Home Services. The weather's been a roller coaster this spring, right? I mean, come on. But it's Minnesota. We all know the hot, humid summer days are coming. But, you can be worry-free with your AC like I am. It's tune-up time. Enjoy 50% off your AC tune-up from Aquarius Home Services. They'll do a thorough evaluation, review all the details and recommendations, and they're happy to answer any of your questions. At Aquarius, the goal is to provide amazing service and earn the right to be recommended. Quite simply, they do great work, and they're always just a click away at AquariusHomeservices.com.
When something happens to your kitchen and you say,
"This is ludicrous,"
you get
having trouble? Don't panic. Don't be alarmed. You need to file a claim? Holla at State Farm.
That's right. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
State Farm, Bloomington, Illinois.
You're free now. Free to stream beyond your wildest dreams. Free to be everything you imagine and then some. That's how it feels to have Quantum Fiber. Your world unleashed. Learn more at quantumfiber.com. Limited availability. Service in select locations only.
QC Kinetics provided amazing pain relief for a former professional baseball player, and you have access to the same life-changing treatments as retired pitcher Jose Alvarez.
I put a lot of stress and strain and work on my right arm, but my right elbow took most of the damage with 3 surgeries.
Arthritis developed, and the pain was unbearable.
It wasn't just pain when I was trying to play sports. It was anytime I was moving the right elbow. It was pretty excruciating at times.
That's when Jose discovered QC Kinetics and their regenerative treatments that help the body heal itself, restoring damaged tissue and providing relief with no surgery or downtime. Jose's message to the medical professionals at QC Kinetics?
My elbow is feeling outstanding. Where were you 10 years ago, for crying out loud?
QC Kinetics is right here. Call for your complimentary consultation.
Call QC Kinetics, 612-254-7123. That's 612-254-7123. 612-254-7123.
Come on in to Total Wine & More. Price is much lower than a grocery store. Wine, spirits, beer for a whole lot less. Walking down the aisles makes you stop and say, yes. With thousands of bottles that you get to explore, Total Wine has everything you need and more. With the lowest prices for over 30 years, you'll always find what you love and love what you find. Only at Total Wine & More.
Drink responsibly, B21.
When you're in a pinch, visit FinchHomeSolutions.com for your electrical needs.
This report is sponsored by Blaze Credit Union.
The complete schedule for the upcoming NFL season will be unveiled tonight. The Vikings will play the Jets in London on October 6th in one of the 5 international games. Twins host the Yankees tonight, looking to avoid losing 2 games in a row for the first time in 3.5 weeks. Pablo Lopez to oppose Marcus Stroman on the mound. The 2 NFL games on Christmas Day this season and at least one in the following 2 years will be broadcast exclusively on Netflix. I'm Doug Thompson.
Looking for a local company that is thoughtfully compassionate when it comes to helping with your finances? Trust Blaze Credit Union for all your financial needs. Head to blazecu.com to learn more. Insured by NCUA.
The radio home of the Minnesota Vikings. FM 100.3, KFXM Minneapolis, St. Paul. The Fan.
You guys ready? We have the schedule. It is officially 7 o'clock, so we can talk about the Minnesota Vikings 2024 schedule. Who's pumped?
I can't. I'm
so nervous.
I've been waiting all day for this just to get a sniff of news on the 2024 schedule. Thank you, 7th Avenue Pizza, for the feast. And thank you to the Minnesota Vikings and the NFL for finally showing us the freaking schedule.
All right, you guys ready?
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Let's we'll start. Do you want to start with the preseason games?
Well, the best games of the year.
All right.
Yeah, the most fun.
They opened the preseason against the Las Vegas Raiders August 10th at 3 p.m. Now, normally we don't get the times, where they're like to be determined. But according to this, as I look at it for the first time, this is what we have, right?
Yeah.
Then they Saturday, August 17th at the Cleveland Browns, 3:25. And I hate to break your heart, Nordo. The first Saturday of the State Fair, they are at Philly at noon.
Wait a minute. Hold on a second. That means that we can't do the State Fair show?
Yeah. Heartbreaking. Do you want to go on? Are you okay? All right, let's start with the actual regular season schedule. I'll say who it is. You guys just rip, right? All right. Week 1.
Got to get myself back in.
September 8th, noon. At the New York Giants, Alec Lewis.
The Vikings really need this one, probably considering what might or might not be next. But I'd say in New York, need it. Daniel Jones or Drew Lock against Brian Flores. Good luck.
Yeah, see, you're still on this Drew Lock thing. You were talking about it earlier.
Mizzou guy. What do you think?
Drew Lock should be the starter.
Drew Lock's better?
Yes, Drew Lock is. No, he's better. Daniel Jones is terrible.
Look,
I don't know how they didn't take a quarterback.
I'm not against the idea that they're saying the same thing that we're saying about J.J. McCarthy and Darnold.
Yeah.
Like when's J.J. going to start? What are some scenarios in which Drew Lock might come in to replace Daniel Jones? But it's got to be Daniel Jones week 1.
I went to Mizzou with Drew Lock same year, so it's definitely an internal bias.
I would lead with that.
There's a lot of bias there.
Week 2, the home opener.
I wouldn't tell strangers
The
that.
San Francisco 49ers, back-to-back noon games, the home opener week 2 against the 49ers, Nordo.
Oh, I love that. It's a primetime game in a noon slot. And that's sweet. No, I'm excited about that. The Niners obviously going to the Super Bowl a year ago. I don't know what's going on with them in the wide receiver situation. Like Debo's potentially been on the trade block. Ayuk was basically he was out the door type of thing. Felt like there was going to be maybe even a draft night bit with maybe with the Bills even, and it never came to fruition. So weird stuff, but they're an absolute badass team. Greenlaw was it coming off the Achilles? I wonder if he's available by then.
It's a great question, potentially, if he's on the Aaron Rodgers plan.
Greenlaw's a great player, but if he wasn't available for week 2, he just needed a few more weeks, I wouldn't be mad at that.
Yeah.
As a Vikings fan, but that's, dude, you don't have to wait long for Flores and this new group to get a test of metal, right?
Well, to your point, we haven't even mentioned TJ Hawkinson and his
good point.
But,
good point.
In a game like that, especially... Again,
we got Josh Oliver, but that's fine.
Pick your poison with those two.
Johnny Munt.
We'll rapid fire through
He's been upgraded now
these.
to the best backup tight end in the NFL.
We'll rapid fire through these next 3. Week 3, another home game. They take on the Texans at noon. Like we talked about, Daniil, Stephon Diggs, that game's at noon. Week 4.
Well, that's sweet.
At Lambeau Field. So again, like last year, no cold game in Lambeau for your Minnesota Vikings. A perfect Sunday afternoon, noon at Lambeau.
And the slipping, probably don't need to worry about
Great point. And then, of course, the game we knew, week 5 at the Jets, we're at England in Tottenham Hotspur.
But
That's
we're the
week
host
5.
team.
So it's
Alan Roach is going to be the voice at Tottenham at 170 decibels.
Oh, my God. That's the loudest stadium of all time.
The Saints guy 2 years ago? My ears were bleeding.
Have you been? Oh, my God. It's the loudest stadium of all time. Buckle up. It's awesome. But
it's a great
so
stadium,
loud.
but it's not the loudest stadium ever because of this raucous crowd, which was raucous. They do have the in-house stadium music and
it's
audio
at 1 million.
So loud, you need earplugs down the block.
Yeah.
It's awful.
I'll just say those first 5, the the 2 through 5 games, I mean, that's kind of a gauntlet.
You go Giants, Niners,
4-1 then.
Yeah,
into the
Giants,
bye.
Niners, Houston,
Right.
at Green Bay. Then they play in London against the Giants. Week 6 bye week.
Still not sure who that one loss is going to be in those first 5.
So the bye is
Week
right
6.
after London. Okay.
It is, yeah.
And then week 7 at home, another noon game against the Detroit Lions.
Oh, I dig that. Coming out of the bye
Yeah.
with a chance to face the Kitties. I will say I like Lambeau earlier in the year. I talked about it with you 9 to noon because last year we had him, week 7 or 8. And I'm thinking because for a long time it was every other year it played out where week 16 or week 17 you're headed to Lambeau. It's freezing. We were there in the 2017 season. 16-0. What a barn burner that was. Watching Case Keenum versus Brett Hundley get out alive.
Sounds electric.
Miracle, and then the Philly thing happened. But I like Lambeau early. Kitty's out of the bye. I dig that. I dig that a lot.
That's a nice spot. I mean, that team.
A lot of noon games so far, boys.
A lot of noon games.
Yep.
Yeah, a lot of noon games. The Detroit. I mean, that would be an interesting spot for JJ. I mean, going up against a NFC North team, but the Vikings and Kevin O'Connell have feasted against Aaron Glenn's defense over there. So
good point.
An interesting one to watch.
They've feasted against our defense
You said it.
as well.
Week 8, Thursday night, 7:15 at SoFi against the Rams. And this is a string of 4 straight road games. At Rams, then week 9 at Colts.
No, they're home against the Colts, I think.
No, it says it says at. Never mind. I read it wrong. Anyway, yeah. So you get the Rams.
But then we do get 3 road games after that. Yeah.
Then it says Colts. I don't know why it says at. It doesn't matter. Then you get the Colts here at another noon game. Then you go to Jacksonville, another noon game, and then you get the Tennessee Titans in Nashville at Nissan Stadium, another noon game, week
Just
11.
knocking out the whole AFC South.
Yeah, correct.
Just noon.
Right?
Those games are not on the game of the week talk, Fox show, whatever. Those games, Vikings, Jags, Vikings, Titans. These are not. You're not. The red zone might get it.
This is clearly an NFL bias because the first 5 weeks look like they're pretty brutal.
Oh, yeah, they're brutal.
Where's Kirk? Where's Kirk?
We'll get to that. I haven't scrolled down yet. I've yet to see it. So
I don't know
week
where it
11
is on the schedule.
So week 11.
Yeah, can't figure it out for the life of me.
Right. So like we said, week 10 at Jacksonville, road game. Week 11 at Tennessee, road game. Week 12, road game at Soldier Field against the Bears. Guess what time that game's at? Noon.
Look at all these noon games.
It's unbelievable.
So what is that? So thus far you get the London game. Does that really count as a primetime game? Not really.
No.
That's just a standalone game. Is that the terminology?
Right.
And then you get a
I'd put
Thursday night
caveat.
game.
Yeah.
So
but this is what happens when you're a 7-win team.
It's not a bad.
This is the schedule you get.
But there's advantages to be placed upon the idea of having noon rhythm.
Yeah.
Especially with 2 quarterbacks. I mean, you don't. I mean, Darnold or McCarthy. The fact that the spotlight, the prime time. I mean, to me, it's not a bad place to be.
Am I the only one that thinks it's cool? We'll get to see Anthony Richardson here too, if he's healthy. But he looked like a freaking knockout until, sadly, via concussion, he literally got knocked out.
He's great.
So I was going through this earlier when I was just thinking about what the schedule could maybe or might be possibly look like. Last year you had Brian Flores against Aiden O'Connell, Jake Browning. You had him against Justin Fields. There were some really bad quarterbacks.
Jameis Winston.
This slate, the quarterbacks are obviously better. And I was thinking of who are the worst quarterbacks on this slate? Well, you had Bryce Young last year too, but this year you've got, Kyler Murray, Will Levis is probably in
Will
that
Levis
mix.
is probably
but
the answer.
Anthony Richardson is probably one of the most unaccomplished quarterbacks on this whole schedule, and he could be, to your point,
good point,
a just really talented player.
Week 12, as I said, at the Chicago Bears. Week 13, U.S. Bank Stadium, noon game, Cardinals. Week 14, at U.S. Bank Stadium, and I'm just seeing this for the first time, and I hate it, noon game against the Falcons. That should be at least a 3 o'clock game. I know nationally no one cares, but that should be a 3 o'clock game. That's a big. There are a ton of storylines.
Well, they want the best.
By week 14, Michael Penix may be the starting quarterback.
They want the best out of Kirk. That's why they had to put it at noon.
Great point.
Yeah.
So I would take
again,
the Falcons in the money line right now.
Unless it's, and I would never wish this upon Kirk, unless it's another season-ending injury. It'll be Kirk. It'll be Kirk, and I mean it's tough. Like we were talking earlier, are we pumping the tires too much in the NFC North in terms of how good or strong a division it can be? Are you deflating the tires so much on the NFC South? Just imagining how bad that division can be. Who knows? But the way it looks on paper, the Falcons could be fighting for a division spot at that point in time.
They could be.
I mean, that could be a badass game, even though we got to wait for it a little bit. Holiday season, Kirk back in town, but yeah, that'll be cool. We just have to wait for it.
We'll go through this and we'll come back and talk about the whole thing. So Falcons week 14 noon game, week 15 home game at US Bank Stadium against the Bears. No, sorry, that's a Monday Night Football game.
Yeah.
Week 15, week 16. Shocking, we play the Seahawks again. That's at Seattle, 3:05 start. And then week 17, we play the Packers here. That is a noon game. And then week 18 is against the Detroit Lions, and that is TBD.
Division on the line.
So you can
Decision
find
day.
Yeah, you can find it all. Here's one quick thing I noticed, and we can come back and discuss. Not one Sunday Night Football game for your Minnesota Vikings.
KFAN, Total Traffic.
From the Quick Trip Traffic Center, I'm Deb Snyder. Here's a look at the roads. Congestion still on East 394 from Xenia Park Place to 94, and the southbound Highway 100 exit ramp from East 394 is pretty jammed up. 35W, congestion northbound off and on 46 to 94. You'll see crowding southbound 50th to the Crosstown. Gets especially heavy around Diamond Lake Road. There's a crash at the Crosstown on the left shoulder. Crosstown itself, eastbound Tracy to Xerxes is heavy. That's traffic on the Fan, sponsored by O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts carries replacement parts and tools to complete repairs on your farm equipment. Visit O'ReillyAuto.com/ag.
O'Reilly Auto Parts. Get the education you need to succeed at Hamlin University, where every student graduates having completed a paid internship and or a field-based research project with a faculty mentor. Get a top-ranked and affordable degree. Inquire today at hamlin.edu. Apply HU.
Hop in the fast lane and head to Treasure Island for Epic Eagles. You'll hear Hotel California, One of These Nights, Desperado, and many more hits and deep cuts from the definitive Eagles tribute band. Take it easy in the Island Event Center on Friday, May 31st. For more information, TICasino.com.
They say consistency is the key to success. They weren't wrong. So how about grabbing a beer that's consistently smooth, consistently refreshing, and consistently light? You might just find that the road to success can be pretty enjoyable. Michelob Ultra, the perfect balance of taste and refreshment, and only 2.6 carbs and 95 calories. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. Enjoy responsibly. Anheuser-Busch Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Hey, Mountain Dew lovers. Holidays doubling up on the dew, so you can too. Right now, when you buy any two 20-ounce bottles of Mountain Dew, you don't get just one bottle for free. You get two. You heard right. It's buy two, get two free on Mountain Dew. So now's the time to get knee-deep in dew. Load up on original Mountain Dew or mix and match varieties like Dew Purple Thunder with a blast of berry and plum. Now's the time to do the dew. Buy any two 20-ounce bottles and get two free. Only for a limited time and only at Holiday.
Dave, you've barely touched your scampi.
Everything's gotten dull, Amy. Worn out.
Well, life's not an action movie.
I'm just not excited about it anymore.
Keeping things fresh takes work, Dave.
Oh, I admit it. Once things started sagging, I just gave up.
Sagging?
I can't even look anymore, to be honest.
Oh, you want to be honest? Okay, Dave. There's a French guy in my yoga class who doesn't think I'm sagging.
Hey, Dave, I got this. Hi, Amy, I'm Charles with All Around. I think Dave's talking about your roof siding and deck.
What's going on here?
He wanted to fix up your house, so he called the highest rated exterior contractor.
He did?
It was supposed to be a surprise.
Surprise.
House need a little lift? Go to allaround.com today to spruce up your love nest.
That Charles is awesome.
Yeah, he is. So who's this French guy?
All around, we get it done, we do it right.
This is the absolute worst time of the year to be dealing with joint pain. You can't do the outdoors stuff that you want to do, like hiking, jogging, biking, playing on the beach, whatever you want. Hey, it's Corey Coe from the Power Trip Morning Show for QC Kinetics. Don't go through this summer missing out on life. Call QC Kinetics now and find out how they can use biologics from your own body to give you new life back to your aching joints. Whether it's your knees, your hips, your back, your shoulder. QC's regenerative medicine protocols can restore and repair that damaged tissue with no surgery, no steroids, no drugs, and no downtime. This is the future of medicine. Tens of thousands of QC Kinetics patients all around the country are living their best life this year because they made the call. And QC medical professionals are under the direction of Dr. Mitchell Scheinkup, who was an orthopedic surgeon who became a true pioneer in regenerative medicine. He knew there had to be a better way. Call QC Kinetics now for that free consultation, 612-254-7123. That's 612-254-7123. That's 612-254-7123.
Schedule speculation. Presented by 7th Avenue Pizza on The Fan.
Final segment, thanks to our friends at 7th Avenue Pizza. I love 7th Avenue Pizza. I've loved those guys for years. They're the absolute best, and I'm not just saying that. Get yourself some 7th Avenue Pizza as you watch all these Vikings games coming up. Alec Lewis, we talked about it. Ben Gessling has a very good set of tweets here, and I'm just going to read them to you guys, and I absolutely love all of the stuff he's done. Not that I like taking other people's work, but I'm giving him credit. He notes that we talked about they have – where is it? They only have 2 primetime games, and where did he write it? They have only 2 home games between September 23rd and November 30th. You know who doesn't get that kind of schedule? The Packers. What in the world? You have 2 games, almost 2 months, 2 home games in 2 months. Ridiculous. I like to complain. That's ridiculous.
I mean, add that to just the gauntlet of the schedule in the first place. The
first game, the Vikings should be favored. The New York Giants are terrible, and they made a huge mistake not taking a quarterback. But after that, Nordo, you go Niners, Texans, Packers. 3 teams that won a playoff game last year. Niners, Texans, Packers. Then you play the Jets in London, and they're going to be out for blood. That is a Super Bowl or bust team. Nordo, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, if we could count on the exact same offense and get something, continued growth out of the defense, I might be speaking to this differently. That's a butt kicking on the front end, gentlemen. I mean, the first 5 weeks, you want that opener against the Giants, but what are you getting out of the quarterback spot week 1? Niners and Texans, you're glad you have them at home, but Green Bay's on the come, and then if you do get a healthy Aaron Rodgers, that defense is just as good as it gets, and Rodgers certainly finding his way to Canton. The schedule is absolutely
the 2 games after that. To me, I mean, I want to extend from.
You want to go to the Kitties, and then you're at LA,
and at LA against Sean McVay and that team and Stafford.
We're following Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp around the field.
I'm telling you, that first 7-8 games. I mean, especially if you lose at Washington, and then you're coming back and you got to face the 49ers.
And the Colts were winning in with Gardner Minshew at the end of last year.
I like Shane Steichen. Their defense is probably gettable, and probably if you have Anthony Richardson, Brian Flores kind of giving him problems, that could be possible. But I mean, man,
Jaguars are interesting to me. I don't want to say it's make or break, but with the way the last 2 years
for their regime, and I mean, Trevor Lawrence has turned the ball over a ton. Yeah.
Quick glance, because bitter table for one.
Schedule hurts.
The Packers play 2 back-to-back road games once. Ridiculous. And I'm mostly doing this because I know Brett's over there and my wife's listening.
It's America's team.
That's ridiculous. You play back-to-back home games once. Every other game, it goes road, home, or
the Vikings go
home,
2
home.
months.
We go 2 months with 2 home games. Ridiculous. But we're not talking about the Packers because the Packers are terrible. But yeah, this is a very tough schedule, as you two were talking about. Extremely tough. Multiple road games. I mean, the 3 out of the first 4 games, those are teams that you could argue, and this is something that 3 years ago people would say, and you go, you're out of your mind. You could argue a San Francisco 49ers Houston Texans Super Bowl is not out of the question.
At all.
Houston Texans are loaded. The Green Bay Packers are loaded. And the San Francisco 49ers are one of the best teams in the last 10 years. And those are our first 3 out of our first 4 games. Thankfully, we get to go to New York, who is just brutal. The first 3 games are going to be tough, man. I love Vikings football more than anything, but this is a very tough schedule.
The Giants, the Giants, that has to be a win. I mean, you got to win that game in New York. And then that stretch of, the AFC South of the Jacksonville, the Indianapolis, the Tennessee, the Arizona Cardinals, like those 2. I mean, if you want to get to 8, 9, I'll say 10. I mean, those games have to be winnable, and then you got to pluck some. But it's just,
I don't know. You guys keep talking about the Giants as if. Think about how we talked about Tampa.
I know. Trust me.
Into last year, man.
Yeah.
I mean, and you end up you start 0-3 in the season. And part of that was the defense gradually building up. Again, depth remains a significant issue on the team. And, Harrison Phillips, what a great year he had. Well, he also played a massive career high in snaps. And what does that do year to year? You got a bunch of new cats on the defense that need to learn and create chemistry and all of that. And you trust in Brian Flores, but that's a work in progress. Like, I don't look at the Giants game. Like, I look at the Giants game as like that Tampa game last year. You got to have it, but I ain't betting on it. There's no chance. Even if they are, you could potentially say that they're going to be favored week 1. I can't necessarily say that to be a fact in the first place. So
and when you factor in Hawkinson and Van Ginkel is still recovering from his foot. I mean,
it's
buckle up.
I mean, there's a reason, and I know.
So I can't find a loss on the schedule.
Yeah, correct.
Is basically what I'm saying.
Yeah, I was going to go the optimistic.
But you can, though. Here's a quick bit of optimism. Thank God Corey's not here to correct me on that. Brock Purdy could fall back to the Pac-Man. He plays on an all-star team. And I will die on that hill. He plays on an all-star team.
Yeah, he's been
pretty
good
they
for
beat
2
San
years,
Francisco
though.
last year without Justin.
Yeah, with him. But, that could fall back.
He's been
the
pretty
Houston
good for 2
Texans,
years,
man.
though.
The Houston Texans are good. Yeah, but Purdy isn't good. The team's good.
Okay.
He plays Madden on rookie. He's not that good. And I'm going to die on that hill. Viking schedule's out, KFAN.com. We covered it like a blanket. Thanks to our friends at 7th Avenue Pizza.
12-5.
We play a lot of road games. We play a very tough schedule. But you know who's going to lead us?
I'm just trying to stay unbiased.
You know who's going to lead us to a 12-5 season? J.J. McCarthy. Let's go. Alec Lewis has gone on record and say J.J. McCarthy will play week 1. You can read it at theathletic.com.
He guarantees it, actually.
It'll be aggregated.
Thank you. Of course it will. You were aggregated while you were on with us, and you weren't even talking about the bit that was aggregated.
No, it's
Brett, thank you. You're the best. Nordo, thank you.
Thanks,
Alec, you're
thanks.
good.
Can we go eat some more 7th Avenue pizza now, please?
Starving.
Thanks to our friends at 7th Avenue Pizza. This is the best. KFAN.com. You can find the schedule. All the sweet videos are out for the team. Kirk Cousins is currently on ESPN talking about how he's won 1 playoff game and praying that they play a ton of noon games too.
KFAN.